Salut, bonjour, and welcome to francofille, a creative podcast. My name is Devin, and this is where I document my knitting and other fiber-related crafting. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at bdevin. You can find the podcast group where I typically post show notes and other things related to the podcast. I've been bad about it the last couple weeks. But eventually I'll get back on it. What else? You can find my yarn and patterns if you search francofille knits on the shop tab under shops on Etsy, and I've also got a francofille knits shop Instagram page as well. So at francofille knits on Instagram, you can find pictures of my yarn and kind of what I've been working on over there too. So lots of good stuff. At bdevin, at francofille knits, you can find me where you need me. If this is your first time tuning into the podcast, thanks so much for checking me out. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. No episode last week. I had one recorded and then life. You can see on the calendar behind me, we went to Chicago on Thursday. Normally I record on Wednesday or Thursday, edit Thursday, and then have it posted by Friday, right? That's kind of the pattern I've been trying to get myself in. I recorded on Wednesday knowing that my Thursday was going to be shot. And I didn't, because I knew we were going to be out of town all day. Jordan is very particular about this. He's kind of a little wary of announcing on the internet when we're going to be away from home, which, you know, valid. But yeah, so didn't want to post that we were going to be out of, away from home all day on Thursday. So I was going to try and get it up Thursday night. Got back Thursday night, was just exhausted. Friday was crazy. I don't even remember why. But yeah, so the episode just didn't end up getting put up, and then kind of as the weekend progressed, it just seemed like if I was going to post the episode, it was A, going to be out of date, and B, it was going to throw everything off. So I decided to just nix it for the week. So basically what that means is I have 2 weeks worth of content to go over for you with you guys today. Luckily, that primarily is going to show up in the shop update. I've been doing a lot of dyeing over the last 2 weeks. So really over the last week. The other thing was last week I didn't have a lot of new stuff in the shop anyway. So that part of the episode was kind of short and honestly a little awkward. So I wasn't too upset about not throwing that up on the internet. Real talk. So yeah, so like you can see on the little rundown over my shoulder, a fair number of things to talk about, including my finished sweater, which I am obviously wearing. I finished it about 2 weeks ago now, because I was able to show it off in what would have been up last week. And so it's looking a little fuzzier. It's gotten a lot of love over the last 2 weeks. But yeah, so that to talk about 3 pairs of socks to work on, or well, not finished, but 3 socks that I've been working on. Little bit of brioche coming back into my life, very exciting. And then some stuff in the shop update and a little bit of blather too at the very end. So sit back, relax, grab something to drink and you're knitting, and let's get started. All right, so the sweater is done. This is the Clarke Pullover by Jane Richmond. I've been working on it, or had been working on it for about 6 weeks, kind of on and off. And yeah, slow and steady progress. My first completed sweater that I'm actually happy with. Previous episodes discussed my checkered history, let's say, with sweater knitting. Lots of unsuccessful projects in my past. But yeah, this one is probably my first actually fully successful sweater project, because not only did I finish it, but I actually like the finished garment, and I've been wearing it a lot. It is super cozy. It fits just how I want it to. I'm gonna try standing up and showing you. It's gonna be a little awkward, right? But bear with me. We're gonna see if this isn't awful. Partly, I mean, you can't see the whole thing because A, I'm short, and B, there's just not that much space, and I don't really want to get a bunch of chalk on my sweater. But yeah, it's definitely oversized, right? And yep, mismatched leggings going with it. Definitely tunic length at this point. I feel like I need to adjust it a little bit. Nice slouchy collar, right? You can see the sleeves end right at the break in my wrist, which is awesome. That's right where I want it. Armpit here. So that I think I will modify if I make it again. But yeah, I mean, definitely has, I'm grabbing a ton of fabric here, lots of positive ease, and it is seriously just the comfiest, coziest, most perfect, like sweatshirt replacement kind of sweater. What is happening here? I'm going to adjust the camera really quick because I'm noticing it's drifting for some reason. But yeah, really, really thrilled with how it turned out. I'm really fairly proud of the sweater, which may be a little silly since it's not like a perfectly tailored kind of sweater. It's just kind of large and boxy and drapey. Not a difficult knit in any way, shape, or form. But it's a sweater that I finished and I'm happy with, right? That I'm actually going to wear. So it, not a technically difficult knit or anything like that, or in any way like an impressive knit. I've definitely knit more difficult things in the past, but this is one that I already know I'm going to get a ton of wear out of. I've already gotten a ton of wear out of. So yeah, really like overjoyed with this sweater. And it's really made me want to knit another sweater, which I did not think was going to happen. I haven't cast anything on yet. I'm just playing around with ideas, but yeah. So what else to tell you? Like I said, the Clarke Pullover by Jane Richmond. I know if you've seen, the last couple episodes, you've heard me praise this. Really an excellent first sweater project. Really, really well written, really straightforward, very doable, very comfy, very cozy. It's a DK weight sweater too, so it's a quicker knit than like a fingering weight sweater, which I think is a very popular yarn weight for sweaters right now. Of course, the next one that I'm planning on knitting is going to be in fingering weight probably, so. But yeah, so fairly quick in that respect. Shaping wise, it's very easy. It's basically just the increases here and then some shaping through the arm, like that's it. I did size up to get gauge. I used a US 8 needle, which I don't know off the top of my head what that is in millimeters. I'm thinking like a 4 or a 4.5. Maybe if I'm on top of my stuff, I'll have a little note here in the corner for you telling you what it is in millimeters. But yeah, I mean, it grew a lot in blocking. And like I upsized the needles based on the unblocked gauge measurements, but I probably, in retrospect, could have stuck with the needle size as written. Gone with that instead of going based on gauge, and it wouldn't have grown quite so much. I don't know. Part of the issue with why it's so oversized, because I don't think it's, I mean, this is definitely more than 4 inches of positive ease. Part of why it's so loose and baggy is that I also, I tend to just always round up with my pattern sizes, right? So I think I did I don't remember if it was like the 48 or 50 inch bust, which is much bigger than I need. It's, I mean, at least a step up, a size up from what I need, but I'm just always afraid that I'm gonna knit a sweater and it's gonna be too small. And how incredibly frustrating would that be, right? Like, I can wear an oversized garment. I can't wear one that's too small for me. Right? Like, that's just not gonna happen. No. Like, even around the house, I will not be happy with my life if I'm wearing a sweater that does not fit right. You know, in the sense of being too small for me. So, yeah, and I am not about knitting aspirational garments. Like, I can wear this when I lose 5-10 pounds. No, I'm not putting hours and hours and hours into knitting a garment that does not fit me, or is not at least like ready to wear. It's not worth it. But yeah, really, really thrilled with this sweater. I used my own hand-dyed yarn, using a DK base, which I'm not stocking at the moment, but I really do like. It'll probably come back. Look for it in the fall. Although I may be switching wholesalers, so I may be trying to replace this one for something similar. I'll talk more about that next week probably. But yeah, so the two colorways, the lighter one here is Éclair and the darker one here is Cabernet. So yeah, this one, it's kind of you're kind of seeing it actually pretty accurately here. Whoop, sorry. Ezra's upset because our trash is getting picked up. He does not like it when any trucks show up at the house, so if he starts barking, sorry. He's got a pretty impressive bark for a very quiet dog. He doesn't use it often, but when he does, it is effective. But yeah, it's actually, the colors are showing up pretty true to life right now, which is awesome. So kind of a dark red purple here, really dark kind of maroony color, and then a nice variegated, slightly speckled tan beige, light brown. So yeah, definitely my happy place color-wise. So very thrilled with this sweater. Very, very happy with it. And I wasn't sure I was going to get a chance to wear it at all, really, after finishing it, since it's now the end of May. But we're having another little cold snap here. I think it's in the 60s today, so I will definitely be wearing this as I bum around the house. But yeah, so yay, finished sweater that I actually like. I'm so thrilled. All right, so moving on, all the socks, all of the sock knitting. The last 2 weeks have been predominantly sock knitting time for me. You can see I've got 3 listed there. I've got my, they're all sitting in front of me. What do I want to start with? I'll just go in the order that I've written them up, gesturing with a cable needle. Going to go in the order I guess I've written them up in there. That's awkward phrasing. Whatever. So yeah, so I'm gonna start with my second pair of Hirondelle socks. This is the pattern from the May Sock Club. And I am knitting this out of some yarn by Hand Knits and Things, which is my friend Annie's shop. Right, and the colorway here is Into the Great Unknown. Got it all caked up here for you. Right, which I got for myself for my birthday. It was a birthday present to me. And I'm really in love with this colorway. Right, this is, I was a little nervous at first. I don't remember if I've talked about this on the podcast before or not, but I was a little nervous as I started this project, as I was doing the cuff, because I was afraid that there was just going to be too much going on, right? Like the pattern has a lot going on. The colorway has a fair deal going on. Lots of happy speckles and things like that. But I actually really love the combo. Like as I kept going, I just kind of, threw caution to the wind and decided to keep knitting. I'm really thrilled with how it's turning out. Again, I should have rewatched the unposted video so that I'd know what I talked about last week and what I've talked about way previously. I'm stretching it out on my hand so you can kind of see it better. Right. But I think the reason why this works, right, this, multicolored colorway, with all of its speckling and variegation and everything, and the pattern. You don't really lose the pattern despite everything going on in the yarn, and I think the reason for that is that there's not a ton of contrast between the different colors and the variegation, right? Which keeps, it's interesting, you can definitely see it, but it's subtle, right? All like the darker mauve, the gold, the areas of really pale green and all that, right? It's subtle enough that you don't end up losing the stitch motif as you're knitting it up. And then you get the pops of more contrast from the speckles, which kind of give it a little extra depth. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I did not realize how well this pattern and colorway were going to work together. But yeah. And clearly Annie is a very talented dyer, right? So I'm very happy. I've got another skein of her yarn sitting in my stash that is going to have to be something very special. It almost got cast on for these socks, but I don't know. There was something about this mauvey pink colorway that I really just needed to cast on and have in my life. I'm knitting these for a knit along being hosted by a couple of my friends, the ladies of Get Lit and Knit, Allie and Abby. They are hosting a spring sock knit along entirely on Instagram, right? So they have a podcast that has been unfortunately a little bit dormant as they've been incredibly busy. If you're not familiar with Get Lit and Knit, Allie and Abby are two incredibly brilliant women who are, Allie is in law school and Abby is in med school. So a little bit busy right there. But yeah, so they're doing a little bit more low-key of a knit along where they're hosting it, like I said, all on Instagram, and it's a 2-month long knit along, right? So it started May 1st, it's running to the end of June, and yeah, you knit a pair of socks, get entered for some awesome prizes. So there are details on their Instagram feed at Get Lit and Knit. So I decided I am going to take full advantage of that 2-month long time span. Although honestly, at this point, we're getting close to the end of May here. Yikes. I'm just kind of taking this as a very nice, slow, meditative knit. Right? I actually haven't worked on this one this week. I may have to pick this back up this weekend because I am really in the mood to knit on this sock. So yeah, this is my first one. And so slowly but surely I will be getting around to knitting that. I'm enjoying definitely taking my time with that pair of socks too. Just a very nice leisurely knit. Yeah. So the second pair of socks I've been working on. Working on 3 pairs of socks over the last 2 weeks. Second pair of socks I am knitting out of my Summer in Provence colorway. Here it is caked up, and it's a fairly sad, misshapen cake at this point as I'm on to my second sock, and I am really rough on my cakes of yarn. They just kind of sit next to me and get pulled around and fall on the floor, and yeah. I'm not precious with my yarn, unfortunately. I probably should be a little bit more delicate with it, but you know, life. I am on to my second sock. The first one still needs a heel, hence the little progress keeper there, but it's currently a lovely tube. I'm knitting these toe up using my French vanilla sock pattern, so my own sort of favorite vanilla socks. Right, and I just have been making slow but steady progress on these as well. I'm actually getting probably relatively close. Yeah, to where the heel will be. That's kind of exciting. So yeah, this was actually one of my first colorways that I developed as I was opening up the shop last year. And I mean, the inspiration for the colorway is right what it says, right? It is Summer in Provence in the south of France, right? So you get these areas of purple and blue, yellow and green, right? purple from the lavender and rosé and all those sorts of happy things. The beautiful flowers growing down there. Yellow from the gorgeous buildings and sunflowers. Blue from the really gorgeously blue sky. Green for all of the beautiful trees and plants and things. So, yeah. It's my happy place. I love this colorway. And I have been resisting casting on a pair of socks in this colorway for the last year. So finally I just gave in and cast a pair on, and I am super thrilled with them. I think I'm gonna really love having these socks once they're done. So, yep, working on that. I'm gonna be doing a cut in afterthought heel. You can see that I've already kind of placed the marker here, so that's going to be where I snip the thread and work that in. And that is the, like I said, my French vanilla sock pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And it comes with both cuff down and toe up instructions. Right? I did toe up this time because I wanted to basically just knit without much thought after I got past the toe. So I just kind of keep going until I felt like stopping. So it's gonna have a relatively short leg, right? But it's kind of like where I like them anyway. Yeah. So that is that one. Oh, the other thing I did want to mention actually with both of these. So these two bases, right? These two sock yarns are a little bit thinner weight, right? A little bit finer weight. Fingering weight yarn, right? So they're both 460 some yards for 100 grams. Sorry, my throat was getting a little dry. Oh, that's really nice. Sorry, random thought about tea. Having some Harney and Sons. Let's see if you can see that. Whoa, nope, blowing out. There it is. And the flavorway. Wow, that was a fun new word. Flavor, right, is Paris, which, you know, gotta stay on theme. It's delicious, actually. What was I saying? Right. So both of these are slightly finer gauge fingering weight yarns. So over March Sock Madness, right, when I knit all those socks in the month of March, 9 pairs? I don't remember. I've already forgotten how many pairs of socks I knit in March. Oops. I realized that with this style of base, right, with this yardage, my normal 64 count socks are just a little too snug. There's a little too much negative ease. And so it kind of pulls things out of alignment. I don't really, not my favorite. So I've decided on both of these socks, both my Hirondelle, right, and the vanilla ones, to go up to a 72 stitch count. Right, just give myself a little extra room. The reason for going up to 72 and not like 68, something like that, is really more about the fact that, right, the standard sock sizes seem to be 56, 64, 72, right, multiples of 8. So, I mean, that was really the thought behind going to 72. But we shall see if that kind of solves that problem. I'm hoping it will. I'm thinking it will. I think it'll be good. And I've drawn up some new charts for the Hirondelle socks that reflect the 72 stitch count. I must have mentioned this. I remember now getting a comment now on YouTube, so I know I've mentioned this before. That yes, for the Hirondelle, it will be possible to modify it to a 68 stitch count as well. That should be pretty clear on the charts, like where the new stitches are, right? From 64 to 72, and it should be easy to figure out where to modify that, like which columns, right, can be deleted. It should be pretty straightforward. Basically, I added in a couple extra, I widened the purl columns here, right? So those can be modified pretty straightforwardly. Yeah. The last one, right? Last pair of socks to tell you about. I'm adjusting the camera again. I don't know why this is sliding. I have to adjust my tripod a little bit. But anyway, got a little sneak preview there. I've been working on my June sock club colorway and pattern and all that. I posted a little spoiler to Instagram yesterday, and I'm going to show you guys. I'm too excited to hold off showing you for another week or two, really. I know I said I wasn't going to show you until June, but I'm so excited about these socks. Yeah, I love the colorway, I love the pattern, they're really fun. So if you want it to still be a surprise, if you don't want to know what the June sock club looks like, turn away. Fast forward, turn away, close your eyes, cover your eyes, do what you have to do, because I can't wait. I need to I need to show you. Yeah, so 3, 2, 1, here it comes, right? I love this sock. All right, I love this colorway. It is so bright, so fresh. I love it. Let's see here. Ah. It is as close as I think I'm ever gonna get to neon. Yeah, it's not quite coming out right. If you can tell, like when I put it down, like I'm changing colors having it near me. But yeah, so it is this really nice, fresh, sort of bright aqua and green, right, with speckles of orange and turquoise and kind of lime green. And then on the pattern, it's cuffed down, right? I've got these chevrons that alternate between stockinette and a nice knit purl motif, right? And there's just a little bit of eyelets going on there, right? Keeping it nice and light for summer. And they really do open up nicely. Again, pretend like my arm is a leg, as I like to do, right? You can see the eyelets really do open up nicely when you throw them on. It's written with an afterthought heel, my preferred afterthought heel, right, which is the thumb joint one, right, where you knit basically without any shaping for about an inch, inch and a half, depending on the length of your thumb, and then do sharp decreases. I find this fits my heel very well. It is really hard to show this off without it getting blown out, but yeah, it's just so fun. Love this sock. So I'm on to the cuff of my second sock. It's so much fun. I love these more lightly speckled colorways. Wow, that is blown out. Because I feel like it's more fun every time you do get to a speckle. Right? You get the pop of extra color. It's just like, ooh, I remember you. Right? It gives a little extra interest without really taking away from anything, right? So I've definitely tried doing pattern socks in highly multicolored kind of bold speckles before, and it just doesn't work, right? Kind of like what I was afraid of happening with the Honda socks. Yeah, so lighter speckles, I think, make it a slightly more versatile yarn. Right, here it is caked up. It is glowing on screen. It is not quite that intense in person, but it is. I'm really excited about it. I really love it. Like I said, this is as close to bright sort of neon colors as I am gonna be getting. Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. Yeah. I love the orange ones, especially the orange pops. I think they just kind of tone it down a little bit. Do I have any? Let me show it to you guys in the skein form too. Here it is on my Paris base, the Stellina base. The sparkles are kind of fantastic. But yeah, you can see that it's subtly variegated. Right, it will stop blowing out. I love it. I'm really, it's just so fun. It's so fun. There, that's a little bit better. Subtly variegated. There are areas where it's kind of more intensely green, a little bit more aqua, a little paler. But as you knit it up, it's so subtle. It's awesome. Right? It just gives it a little bit more interest as it knits up without being kind of in your face variegated. My dishwasher is done. Yeah, so that's the June Sock Club colorway and pattern. So ready to ship if you are interested, if you'd like to join me on this bright, fun adventure. All right, so that's enough of socks. So after I finished my sweater last week, I knew, that I had a bunch of socks on the needles that I needed to work on this week. But I also knew that I wanted something other than socks to work on. So I didn't completely lose my mind and lose interest in knitting, right? Because, I don't know, we've talked about this. I'm not a monogamous knitter, even monogamous to a single type of project. March was my longest stretch for only knitting one type of thing. And then at least like I knew there was a end date too, and I had a goal, right? It was a challenge for myself. Normally though, I need variety when it comes to my knitting. Otherwise I just lose all interest. So I decided to, well, initially I was gonna cast on a new project, which is the last thing I need to do. I have a ton of whips sitting in my little whips bookshelf. So rather than cast on something new, I decided to go and revisit one of those poor languishing whips. And I pulled out a brioche project that I started back in December that was originally going to be a Christmas present for my mom. And then I got sick during the month of December, wasn't feeling well, and knitting just kind of got put on put on pause. So yeah, she wanted a big, long, squishy scarf, and I figured that sounds like a perfect brioche style project. And you can see I've got a progress keeper here, right? And that is what I had done before I picked it back up. And I've knit several more inches on it since then. So yeah, I picked this up about a week and a half ago. That sounds right. Is that right? No, a week ago. I picked this up Wednesday last week. And I've just been having so much fun with it. And turns out, fun fact, knitting brioche is kind of like riding a bicycle. Right? I was really afraid that I was going to have to like stop and remind myself how to knit brioche. This is the back of it. You can kind of see the craziness going on with striping in these two other colorways. Right? Just kind of give the front of it a little bit more interest. I love it. But yeah, really surprisingly enough, I did not have any issues picking the brioche back up. Pattern details, this is one that I was just kind of making up as I go, so it's not on Ravelry, but it's fairly straightforward. It kind of has a fun little pointed end. And yeah, so this is eventually going to be a gift for my mom, who had executive approval on my colorways. And yeah, been a really fun meditative knit. I love brioche. It's really definitely reminded me why I enjoy brioche knitting so much. But yeah, what else to tell you? So colorways, the light sort of main color here on the front is Madeline Tosh, Tosh Merino Light in Cosmic Wonder Dust. So it's a natural base with some neon speckling on it. And it was actually a birthday gift from Mom last year. And then the two colorways on the back were also gifted yarn, gifted to me by my friend who I helped coach through some of her early knitting projects. This is Manos del Uruguay Alegria in... Also, did you love my accent on that one? Totally Americanize it. I don't even care. I don't remember the colorway name, but it's gorgeous and multicolored and fun and reminds me of tropical fish for some reason. And then this one is My Door County Sock in Door Horizon. She got it up in Door County, Wisconsin, and at an LYS that has its own line of yarn. So yeah, kind of gorgeous and beautiful and special, right? I love knitting with gifted yarn. It's just such a joy. It just makes every project feel so much more special. And yeah, it's going to somebody who is very knitworthy, right? Who loves her hand knit items and is very, very precious with them, right? Very careful with them, takes very good care of them. And these are her colors. So I think this is going to be very well loved once it's actually finished. Hopefully I get it to Mom before Christmas. We'll see if I get it finished by then. I might actually. I've been getting some good progress done. So I'm about probably maybe a third of the way. So I don't know about you, but I like scarves to be fairly long. I know my mom does too, so I'll probably keep going. I don't know how long it is now. Honestly, again, I'm not big into measuring if I don't have to. So I'll probably compare it against probably a scarf that I already have instead of like actually measuring it out with measuring tape. I don't know why, it just seems more painful doing it that way, even though comparing it to something like a finished object is still measuring. Psychology is funny. But yeah, so that project also, living in a project bag, my Annie of hand knits and things. Bright colors, bright happy project, right? Been keeping me company over the last week. Really just a satisfying knit. I love, it's like kind of like with this sweater, right? Like I usually don't knit a ton of scarves. Shawls, yes, I like knitting shawls. Scarves, not so much, mostly because normally it's fairly dull, right? Because you're just knitting the same thing for miles and miles and miles, and it's just not mentally engaging enough, right? But I kind of feel like that project is kind of like this sweater, which again, not a ton of shaping, right? Miles of just plain stockinette. But adding the stripes in keeps it engaging, right? You've got clear progress, clear marking. So that was part of the thought with striping in those colors too, where I'm not gonna be as tempted to just finish it and end up with too short of a scarf, which again, kind of defeats the purpose of having a scarf. But yeah, so that's what I've been working on. Like I said earlier, I'm tempted to cast on another sweater. We'll see. My thought is I'm going to finish up maybe one or two of these pairs of socks, and then I'll allow myself to entertain casting on another sweater or another project. I may try and kind of balance out casting on new projects with working through my WIPs bookshelf. My thought being, like, if I try and only work through my WIPs bookshelf, I'm gonna hate my knitting, right? It's gonna feel like a chore, and I never want my knitting to feel like a chore. Nothing good happens from my knitting feeling like it's a chore. But I've already got a ton of WIPs already on the needles. Like, I do need to work through them in order to even just have needles to cast on new things, right? So maybe if I just kind of alternate, like cast on something new, work on an old WIP, cast on something new, work on an old WIP, maybe that will be the best way to get through my projects. We'll see. fingers crossed that, I mean, it sounds reasonable, right? We'll see if it actually ends up working. I mean, currently I have 3 pairs of socks on the needles, all of which are relatively new projects. So it's definitely not my normal MO, but we'll see. All right, so shop update, Friday, tomorrow. Right, my calendar starts on Monday, 26th. I've got a lot of stuff to show you guys. I've been really busy actually, just dyeing up all sorts of different colorways just for fun, right? Just kind of letting myself go a little wild. And yeah, so plenty to show you guys. Some new stuff, some returns, like old colorways that I haven't dyed up in a while. All sorts of good stuff. Predominantly on my Normandy base. Yeah, predominantly on Normandy, which I love. It is probably my favorite base of the ones that I'm currently dyeing. The bases I'm currently dyeing up. So let's see, I'm just gonna dive right in. Let's see here, I'm bringing back Van Gogh, right, which is from my artist colorway collection. See if I bring back here. Maybe I slide off the button band, or the button band, the label you can kind of see. Right, it's got these swirls of blue and gold, which can kind of meld into this really gorgeous green. Right, pops of the bear yarn as well. Grab another skein of it. It's a really fun one to dye, and every skein ends up a little bit different. Even when they're dyed up in the same tray, it's just really kind of fun. Kind of gorgeous. Love that one. That's on Normandy. Normandy is a fingering weight base. Most of these are going to be on Normandy that I'll show you. It is 400 yards, 100 grams, and it's an 80-20 blend of superwash merino and nylon. Right, so nice and sturdy. It's what I tend to gravitate to when I knit up samples for the monthly sock clubs. Right, this is Normandy. Love the way that it wears as a sock. It's nice, it's squishy. Yeah, really great. Okay, so that's the Van Gogh. I've got Lots. Right, similar, right? Kind of similar to Van Gogh. Different color blue, right? So it's slightly different blue, and it's not all swirled together, right? It's kind of a little larger sections of each color. Right, you get some fun speckling going on in there as well. Blue and gold, very nice and pale. I love it. Real sweet colorway, really, really sweet. So voilà, a couple skeins of that in the shop. Back to, I'm just grabbing random stuff out of the bin next to me. There's no rhyme or reason to this. I've got some Degas. I'm bringing this back also from the artist colorway collection. Really sweet. It's probably one of my favorite colorways I've ever done. Sorry, thinking about future projects. Do I have a sweater's quantity of this? Maybe that's what I'll do. Really pale, sort of tan beige base, right? Sort of tonal base there with navy and maroon speckles. Right. On this, another skein of it here. I love this colorway. Really love this colorway. Really tempted to dye up a sweater's quantity of this for myself. I'm holding back for a minute. I'll hold back for a minute on that. Still have some summer in Provence. Right? Dyed up a little bit more of this. Mostly because I'm just having so much fun knitting on these socks. I love how it works up. Got, I think, a little bit of Monet left. right? Super sweet, speckly yarn. Blue, green, and purple speckles on a natural base. I've got this dyed up on my Paris base, which is my Stellina base. 431 yards for 100 grams, and that's 75, 25, 5, right? 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% silver stellina, and it just sparkles. It's gorgeous. And so I love this. I love these sort of lighter, right, speckles on a natural base paired with something else. I think they make really great brioche projects, right? But I mean, all sorts of like 2-color projects work really well when you've got a natural with speckles paired with something else. So here it is. I grabbed some skein of Sénon, right, which is this really beautiful pale tonal lavender with gray and green speckles. Right, this is on my chaussette base, 463. This is the 463 base that I was talking about before. So 463 yards for 100 grams, and it's a 75-25 blend. Right. I like a little nylon in there to give it a little extra strength, especially for sock knitting. But you don't always need nylon to give it enough strength. And then here's a skein of Iris, again on Normandy. Right. Love this colorway. Right, really, it's kind of just deep and moody. I don't know, I love it. Right. That dark, rich purple, navy, yellow in there, and then pops of white as well. Really love this. It knits up beautifully. Got a couple skeins left of Mon Coeur, or my heart, also on my chaussette base. Really beautiful sort of mauve and rose gold tonal colorway, or variegated colorway, with really sweet, fun speckles of this deep green color, sort of a chocolatey brown, and sort of like a deep red wine, sort of dark purple. Right? Really pretty, really cool. Love this colorway. Right? I've got a couple skeins of Monton left. Wow, which is another really bright, fun, summery colorway. Bright, sort of aqua-y green and gold variegated. Where can I get it? I'm trying to figure out like where to get it where it's not going to be completely blown out. There we go. All right, then with these dark purple and like lime green speckles through it. Really, really fun. If a colorway could be refreshing, I'd say this is a refreshing colorway. I really enjoy it. And that's what have you not showed you? Got a couple of skeins of Pivoine left, or Peony, right, from the Les Fleurs colorway collection, right? Really sweet, pale pink colorway with darker pink speckles, and some hot pink speckles in there too. Right, really just sweet and fun. Love this colorway. A couple skeins of Herb Garden, again on Normandy. Oh, Pivoine was on Chaussette, by the way. Like I said, I've been really busy. I've been dyeing like crazy. Just dyeing all the colorways. I have one skein left of Côte d'Azur on Chaussette. Another bright, fun colorway. Love this. Super fun and summery. Aqua and the sweet cornflower blue with speckles of dark blue and orange. I really, really love it. I may steal this skein for myself. So if you go to the shop update on Friday and it's not there, it may end up in my stash. All right, something new. Right, this I'm calling Rennes. And Rennes is a town in Brittany, France. And it is another one of my, it's another highly speckled colorway on a neutral base, right? So it's got these speckles of red and navy and teal and really warm sort of yellowy orange, slightly dark yellow. And then there's a paler blue in there as well. Yeah. So the inspiration is that, like, in the old part of the town, right? In the Old Town district or whatever, there are these gorgeous medieval buildings, right? Normally when you think of those kinds of buildings, you think of like a natural or dark wood style with like white plaster. But in Brittany, especially, and in Rennes and a couple other small towns throughout Brittany, they would paint the wood bright, vibrant colors. So you get these squares and these streets where it's just these medieval buildings with really bright, vibrant colors, right? Like these beautiful yellows and teals and reds and navy and things like that. Right, so that was the inspiration for the colorway. And it really, I mean, it goes great with a bunch of these. Also kind of would be cool with like a fraud hat. Right? So just kind of a fun thing. Just a fun addition. And just, gorgeous on its own too. It would be super fun. So I've got some Rennes. All right, so these last two colorways, like I just mentioned, are still a little damp, so the skeins I've twisted up a little more gently. So they're a little floppier, and they're going to be slightly paler once they finish up. But, so this first one, new colorway, is I'm calling apéritif. So an apéritif is kind of like an appetizer, right? Kind of that same idea, right? It's at the beginning of a meal or just before a meal. But typically apéritif is like a cocktail and some like light salty snacks or something like that before a meal. The idea is that it kind of opens up your appetite, right? So like in the south of France, for example, right, you might have like some rosé or some pastis, which is a local anise flavored liqueur. And the lighting in here is really just not working with me. It's a gray rainy day here, so unfortunately I'm just dealing with my normal overhead lights. But yeah, so right, the base color, right, is this really nice pale variegation between this peachy color, kind of like rosé, and then this kind of gold, warm yellowy gold color, right, real pale though, for kind of mimicking pastis. And then it's got these speckles of kind of darker peach, green, and a dark purple, almost black, right? Kind of mimicking the kinds of food that you might eat, like prosciutto wrapped melon is real common, or charcuterie in general is common as an apéritif. Also olives in the south of France, real common. You might have some tapenade on like crackers or things like that, or bread. Right, so that was my idea there. Right, snack time yarn. So apéritif, I really love this color, right? And then the other one, and I'm going back to some of my colorways inspired by 18th century ladies. I've done Marie Antoinette and Madame du Barry, right, who are both, famous women of the 18th century. Doing another one. This is Madame de Pompadour, who was one of the mistresses of Louis XV, and just one of those gorgeous 18th century women, right? You see the portraits of them with their gray hair, super pale skin, beautiful rosy cheeks, and like beautiful gowns with lace and all that. So there's this very famous portrait of Madame de Pompadour, where she's wearing this really beautiful pink gown and has blue flowers in her hair and things like that. And so yeah, really fun, beautiful colorway. Yep. So she was, you know, an enlightenment figure and all that stuff too. She was more than just a beauty, but yeah, needed a colorway. So yeah, all of these things, all are going to be available. I've got my work ahead of me with taking pictures of all of these yarns, and I've got my fingers crossed that tomorrow there will be good sunlight so that I can actually take good, accurate pictures of these colorways and not have to do too much editing. All right, a little bit of blather, just to kind of close things up. You can see on the calendar behind me, it says California. Obviously, I am not in California this week, but Jordan is. So I've been a little bit all by my lonesome for the last week. It's been a little sad. My nose itches, I'm not crying. Jordan is out there for work. I think I've mentioned this, I've teased this a little bit in the past couple episodes. If you've been watching the podcast for a little while, you know about the ups and downs we've been dealing with moving to a new town last summer. For Jordan's work, he got a tenure track position at a small college in northern Indiana, and then in January we found out that they were going to be closing the college down. Yeah, so that happened, and we were a little bit nervous about what was going to be happening, finding work, all that kind of stuff. Jordan found a new job. He's going to be working remotely from home. I think I've talked about that on the podcast before. But yeah, he's out in California now for work, meeting with his team, and they're doing, like, I don't know, it's work stuff. So he's out there. He's coming back on Saturday. Really excited to have him home. Because yeah, I'm an introvert. I spend most of my time at home. I work from home, so it gets a little lonely when Jordan is gone, not gonna lie. But yeah, I've been forcing myself to get out and explore the area a little bit more too this week, especially because I know that these trips to California are going to be more frequent. He's going to be doing them at least on a quarterly basis, so you know, I need to not just sit at home and be sad and knit. So yeah. Yeah, I've been kind of, like I said, forcing myself to kind of go out and explore and do things other than just stay home and work, because that is a quick way to get cabin fever. So I found a yoga studio in the town where I do my grocery shopping, so that was exciting. Took a yoga class last night, Wednesday night, and it was fantastic. It was exactly what I like in a yoga class, right? It was a real small class, knowledgeable instructor, and it was focused more on like position sequencing and breathing, and kind of focusing a lot on the position you're in and everything. And it wasn't like a high intensity cardio yoga class. Let me tell you, bouncing around from college town to college town over the last decade, I have seen I've tried my fair share of yoga studios, and they definitely do break down into, I feel like, those two broad camps, right? You get the more traditional hippy dippy yoga, which is my happy place, and the more like exercise class yoga, right? So I was very pleasantly surprised to find in this farm town in Indiana a hippy dippy crunchy granola yoga class. So I will definitely be returning there. I'm really excited to have found that. And then today, after I do this, I am going to be going to the hardware store and getting some paint. I'm going to be painting our master bedroom. Jordan's actually going to be out of town for about 6 weeks this summer. So I'm going to go ahead and paint our master bedroom while he's gone because I want it done and I don't want it. And he obviously doesn't want to be sleeping in a room with paint fumes, so I'll just sleep in our guest room while I do that. But yeah, I am. Yeah, like I said, the last couple months have been fairly rough, right? We're on an upswing again. Like life is improving, life is getting better, but it was rough there for a little bit. It was definitely nerve-wracking, and a lot of my energy was put into, basic self-care in terms of just getting through the day, but then also, making sure that Jordan was doing okay, because obviously, losing your job is rough, especially when it's a career that you've put, years and years and years of work into. Academia is kind of a fickle beast and a very specific job cycle, where, really there's only one time of year where new positions open up. It takes an entire year to apply for jobs, interview for them, and find out you've gotten them or not. So yeah, timing was rough, and I basically spent, our spring semester focusing on making sure that he was okay, and doing the bare minimum of self-maintenance, which I don't regret. It was what was needed to keep us moving in the right direction, but no lie, April ended up being fairly rough for me, kind of. Once Jordan was okay, once things sort of started, there was light at the end of the tunnel, right, for us. I kind of realized just how much I had exhausted myself. So I am spending a little bit more time now taking care of myself. Doing more than just the bare minimum of self-care. And I'm getting excited about it, right? So taking a yoga class definitely is a step in the right direction on that. I am kind of excited. I'm going to be starting up on my ketogenic diet again, which I did in the fall and works really, really well for me. It is an extreme low carb diet, extremely low carb diet, where, the entire idea of it is like you eat high fat, medium protein, low carb, which sounds like the exact opposite of anything you would ever want to do. But I promise you, I have talked to doctors about this. Like, I've gotten it approved by doctors. I've had blood tests run to make sure it hasn't like completely screwed with me or anything. But my cholesterol went down, amazingly enough. My blood sugar went down. I lost weight. Like, it did all sorts of good things for me. But it's kind of a pain to do, right? Like, if you're just working, like if you're cooking all your own meals, it's not bad, right? All of your carbs, right, come basically from vegetables, right? You're not allowed to add sugar to anything. No bread, no starchy foods, right? No pasta, no potatoes, no nothing like that. Even things like corn are not allowed. Tomatoes basically aren't allowed, very, very sparingly. So you have to spend a lot of time paying attention to what you're eating. So like going out or, visiting family, things like that become a little bit more difficult, but it's really worth doing because I do feel a lot better when I'm doing it. I was hoping to do it in the spring and then things went to hell. So like I said, I was focused on just kind of getting through every day. So something as time intensive and sort of self-directed as that kind of diet, this ketogenic diet, just wasn't on my radar. It really was not going to be a real possibility. But yeah, I'm excited to get that going again. And what else? I also, again, if you are a longtime viewer, you know that at the very beginning of the podcast, I was working intensely with a the local chapter of my sorority down at Indiana University. And I had to give that up when we moved away. I was too far from campus to effectively advise them. We are now 2.5, 3 hours north. I went from basically being at that chapter house multiple times a week for several hours, right, to like cold turkey, no more contact, basically. Hands off, like you're not an advisor anymore. And it was a little heartbreaking, right? I couldn't keep going. I miss them, they miss me, it's fine. But I'm taking on a new volunteer position with ADPI, with my sorority, where I'm going to be working with all of the chapters in the Midwest and into Canada on academic standards and scholarship and things like that. So getting to work with them again, pretty much starting in the fall. I'm laying the foundations or getting the training and all that kind of stuff now. I will be going to Florida at the end of June for some more sorority related fun. But yeah, so I'm really excited to get back involved with that as well. So, you know, I'm getting back on the self-care bandwagon. So volunteering and doing something that means a lot to me, you know, getting back on this diet that I know makes me feel better. And yeah, doing some yoga and, you know, taking care of my physical body as well, right? I suffer from a really bad back, so, you know, I'm starting to feel that twinge up on me, so doing a little bit of yoga and all that, staying nice and flexible in the past has definitely helped with that, so yeah. Things are good. Things are turning around, so hooray, hooray, hooray. Yes, all about the self-care. So that is it for this week. I'm gonna go run to the hardware store, get some paint samples, and hang these slightly damp skeins back up so they can finish drying. And I will see you guys again next week. For real though, because there's nothing on my calendar that's gonna interrupt. Anyway, thank you for sticking with me. Bon tricot, happy knitting. Bye.